We got Renzi. There's great acting, then there's Denzel Washington. That boy is known to be on another level. So let's see what he's talking about right here. Ooh, shit.
Here we have the character of Frank Lucas, a real-life Harlem drug dealer who was ruthless in his pursuit of wealth.
Either you're somebody, or ain't nobody. Be right back.
Having escaped conviction a number of times, he's of course incredibly arrogant, defiant in the face of the law, and in this case, Officer Richie
That's
Roberts,
enough out of you, my
portrayed
boy.
by Russell Crowe. This is a man who seems obsessed with his image, the flashy cars, the beautiful women, and a constant display of either force or fearlessness.
Just keep going.
Shit.
Round back?
Hell no, I ain't sneaking in my own club.
Now, Denzel Washington is aware that no man is truly invincible. They simply put on a mask. I don't think any scene captures this more than when Frank is being interrogated.
I got celebrities, I got sports figures, I got Harlem Richie.
Here, we see a man cornered. I'm sure deep down, there's a rumbling sense of impending doom. But that's not what's portrayed. His posture is slouched, his expression's a lot more loose, and his speech reflects that of a man who's both calm and completely self-assured.
That's pretty good, but that's why we go to court, isn't it, Richie? Because I got witnesses too.
As the detective picks away at his defense, we see a change in demeanor. The posture straightens out, the voice grows more manic, and interrogation escalates to threats.
So it don't mean nothing to me for you to show up tomorrow morning with your head blown off. You understand what I'm saying?
This is a man so used to bending his environment at will that he has trouble accepting a world where he doesn't assert complete control. But given how calculated he is, reality eventually sets in, and we see him return to calmer expressions and more measured responses.
What can you promise me, Richie?
Denzel Washington performed with a subtlety that seems to draw more focus on the body language than the actual dialogue. Take the tease scene in the third Equalizer film. This character's movements are so measured that he's meticulous even when he's not on guard. But this is just one scene, within one movie, in one of the most incredible resumes of any actor who's ever lived.
He is an incredibly interesting human being. He's had an amazing life.
Now there are other actors who capture subtlety really well. Anthony Hopkins, Tilda Swinton, and Viola Davis to name a few. These actors all have one thing in common, a background in theater.
You don't have to know at 17 what you're going to do the rest of your life. So I worked it out. I found my way to theater. I really didn't see anybody who looked like me, so I didn't aspire to act in movies.
Denzel Washington's career began on the obscure stage at New York's Fordham University, but today he is headlining on Broadway.
It's like retooling. The lights come up or the curtain goes up and it's an actor's medium on stage.
The stage demands much more control over your body language and expressions, and unlike film, you only get one take. It's better to have a large range and not need it than not have it at all.
You walk out onto that stage and you're ready to tell the whole story. Whereas on film, it requires a certain type of patience.
They often follow the motto of less is more. The sharper your skills become, and the more control you have over both your senses and expressions, the more minimal the delivery. Now that's not to say you're supposed to deliver every line in a monotone fashion.
Bueller,
But real people are often much more reserved. Rarely are they outwardly expressive regarding their true emotions unless pushed to the extreme.
What the hell are you doing in my house if you hate me so much?
This self-preservation can lead main characters to be either passive or forward. And in Denzel Washington's case, it's mostly the latter.
La iglesia dice que hay que perdonar.
Forgiveness is between them and God. It's my job to arrange the meeting.
There's a reason he's often cast in high-budget blockbusters where the lead demands both a reserved demeanor and an incredibly intimidating presence.
I promised someone that I love very much that I would never go back to being that person. But for you, I'm going to make an exception.
They can't risk taking on an actor who can't balance both. Action movies are often full of one-liners that are used more so to create a spectacle than to tell an interesting story. But when you have well-written films that play more creatively on the action hero trope, you need someone who can get the point across without actually saying much.
And to the dust we shall return.
Someone who carries a tremendous amount of restraint in his performance. Take this scene with the Russian gangsters in The Equalizer. There's a constant give and take here. While the boss delivers his monologue, Denzel never breaks eye contact. He doesn't even blink. The only communication we really get is a small but skeptical head tilt. Yet as we cut to each individual preparing to arm themselves, we get the feeling he's aware of all of it. The only time his instincts drop is when he realizes the negotiations are over, and the other party shrugs him off. This is, of course, short-lived. However, this intensity isn't limited to action heroes. Fences is full of monologues, and one of the best depictions of Washington's range and restraint.
Now, I don't give you everything I got to give you. I give you your life. Me and your mama worked that out between us, and liking your black ass wasn't part of the bargain.
And with a ton of prior experience as the character of Troy Maxon.
This was actually, of the 3 films I've directed, the easiest way in, because we had performed it 114 times to great success.
He easily melts into the role. Troy is a man who, while walking a morally gray tightrope, imposes his wisdom and life lessons on everyone around him.
I just come by to ask you for $10. I don't want to hear all that about how I live.
Boy, your mama did a hell of a job raising you.
Despite being plagued by his own troubles,
both my eyes was swole shut. I thought I was blind. I couldn't see nothing. I just laid there and cried.
He's a victim of his life circumstances. When he delivers a line, there's a sense of guilt behind the words.
Now, don't you go through life worrying about whether somebody like you or not. You best be making sure they're doing right by you.
It's as if he knows his behavior is wrong, but he's too far stuck in his old ways to ever change. It's only when he crosses a line he feels he can't come back from does the sympathy begin to flow.
I'm gonna be your daddy. Yeah, I'm gonna be somebody's daddy.
These are slight differences in tone and expression, yet they make for completely different deliveries. As the viewer, Denzel wants you to have sympathy towards those with a faulty moral compass. These characters often leave you questioning your own judgment. Take the ending monologue in 2012's Flight. After an investigation, Whip Whitaker, played by Denzel, can no longer hide from the truth. He's an alcoholic whose poor habits end up costing lives. While on the stand, he does his best to maintain composure, but over time, we see him start to break.
Because I drank the vodka.
He blinks and sweats like that of a man suffering from withdrawals, and during the more intense moments, we even hear his voice crack.
Because I'm an alcoholic.
Keep in mind these movements are instinctive. Any break in attention or intrusive thought could disrupt the whole flow of the scene, so he has to be constantly in the moment. While Denzel is a master of playing a reserved hero or a morally gray protagonist, we rarely see him as the villain. From the beginning, American Gangster showed us the true colors of Frank Lucas. We saw him as a ruthless businessman who'll stop at nothing in his pursuit of wealth and power. But what happens when the roles are reversed? Instead of the dealer, you're the cop.
You want to go to jail, you want to go home? You want to go to jail, you want to go home was not written. I just put that in there. Almost that whole last scene when I'm screaming at everybody, I made it up.
Just with an equally clouded moral judgment. What we initially think, though, is the complete opposite. The film opens with an eager Jake Hoyt arriving at a diner to Alonzo Harris, a detective content with the comfort of his morning paper. He's well dressed, clean shaven, and his movements seem incredibly measured. This is a cop who's clearly seasoned. So much so that the rookie can barely maintain composure. This seems to irritate Harris at first, and as a result,
that's why I read it, because it entertains me. You won't let me read it.
Hoyt grows desperate.
Well, there was a DUI stop.
A DUI stop.
But then you see a shift in Harris's demeanor. Frustration turns to eagerness the more the rookie rambles.
Fully loaded and locked.
No shit.
No shit. So
the audience initially views Harris as a man hungry to pass on his guidance, when in reality, he sees Hoyt as nothing more than a mark. He's pretending to humor the rookie for the entire exchange. All he really sees is an amateur fit for manipulation. In the ending monologue, we see Alonzo, the real Alonzo, on full display.
I'm the police! I run shit here! You just live here!
Shunned by his community, he seamlessly transitions from a reckless hostility to a more manic desperation.
Give me the money, Jake. Give me the money, please, Jake. Give me that money!
Oh, son of a bitch!
A hopeless last shot attempt to maintain control, even as police sirens close in. These subtle tells are a staple of Denzel's performances. He manages to create sympathy for not just the morally gray protagonists, but the villains as well. Be it a silent, piercing gaze or a powerful monologue, he sets a standard that very few, either in the present or past, have been able to meet. It's why he's so extensively studied. It's why he's so unanimously praised. When he speaks, the entire room is silent, full of individuals eager to gather any crumbs from the over 50 years of acting wisdom. I can say without any reserve, we're in the presence of greatness.
Denzel Washington. The Oscar goes to I Love My Life, Denzel Washington.
And hopefully, as time passes, we get the pleasure of watching him continue that legacy.
Damn.